Hey, good morning, everybody. It's John and Heather here. I'm so excited to be here with all of you talking about yes and continuing on the theme of yes. It's on Wednesday we left off. We got a question we're going to start off with, but the one thing I wanted to just drop in here really quick before we actually go on. So I talked about doing a workshop on on Wednesday. And what was really funny is the name of the company is called C and We, which is yes and yes in Spanish and French, which I think is like so cool.
I love that, John. That's like, that is the universe working its magic, right? Bringing the messages that we need to hear right to our doorstep.
Yeah, no, we're living in it. We're in the midst of. So it's interesting because when you get to yes, when you say yes to you, you're getting into flow, and this is what I love about this, right? Like it's creating this whole theme, and almost feels like it's a movement, right? Like I met with some people on Wednesday night for dinner, visiting, friends visiting from out of town, and at the end of it, they're like, "Where the yes men?" I'm like, "Where is this coming from?" Like, it's so cool. So neat. So let's jump into the question. So the question in and around, actually, Heather, I think you have it up in front of you, right?
Oh, I just closed it, but it was from Ulrich. And what he asked, and I'm paraphrasing, was, saying yes can sometimes be detrimental in a business situation and you end up signing up for more. So how do you deal with that? So, John, do you have some thoughts around that?
Yeah, so actually, I've been sitting on this question since Wednesday, and there are going to be situations where you're going to say yes and things don't necessarily work out. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my way of thinking, but when you say yes and things don't work out, there's a lesson that you were meant to learn and all of that. There was something that you didn't know that now you know, and going forward, the next time you're in a similar type situation, you might not necessarily say yes, or you might move on to something or say yes to something else. Um, but what's really interesting, what really sat with me was, you say yes, things don't work out in a business situation, and it's like, okay, so what's the lesson here? And that's how I kind of reframe a lot of that. It's like, what do I really need to take away from this? What is something I didn't know that I know now that I can use in the future? Because these are all lessons that teach us really how to be stronger, how to be more confident, how to be more decisive in terms of how and when to say yes.
Mm.
So to me, they're lessons. Heather, I'd love to get your perspective on it.
I think that another sort of flip on that is, you might be in a situation where the people around you are not strong, or you're saying yes to things that are maybe they should be doing. And so, and will take too much on. So, but you have to also analyze is when you say yes to one thing, you're actually saying no to other things, even though you're not saying no. So, you have to be careful with your time and your expertise to make sure that you're the right person to be taking those actions. And I actually had this happen to me this week. And I said yes to something that I wanted to save time, I wanted to save money, and I said yes to doing some graphic design. I'm not a graphic designer. What was I thinking? But the two other factors, time and money, drove my decision. I wanted to get it done for the people that were asking for it. And the drafts came back, and now it's going to go to a real graphic designer because it's a little bit it's not at the level that it needs to be. So, I said yes. To your point, John, I learned that, hey, graphic design might not be in my wheelhouse just yet. I need to practice some more. And sometimes you got to leave it to the experts. But I will say yes again to inviting experts to actually do that job. So that's the lesson learned. And when somebody asks, can it be done? The answer is going to be yes, but it won't be me doing it next time. So that's the lesson that I learned. Like literally at 8 o'clock this morning, that was the lesson that I learned. So it's a good one to learn for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of times we actually get into a place or a space where we feel like we said yes, so we got to go do it, right? Like, so I just recently got elected director of this nonprofit organization, and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's just a lot of information I'm putting together, and of course, I just yes, I'm gonna do what I can do. And I think what naturally happens, especially for me, and I know for people like us, we just jump into it and we're like, we're going to go do that, right? We're going to go do that ourselves. And it's like, I'm saying yes to, and I think you kind of spoke to this, to the vision. I said yes to creating something special and something big out there. I said yes to building out the community. Doesn't mean you always have to do the work, right? It doesn't mean you always have to be responsible for the deliverable. This is where you leverage the people around you. And these are the lessons that we learn, right? Like, so, historically, I would drown in work or I wouldn't do it properly because I would say yes and then I would do it and then I would run out of time or things wouldn't be up to the standard or quality that everybody else wants. So the lesson in all that is like, there are people around me that do this work a lot better than I do, especially in business, right? Like if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you work in an organization. If you're trying to do it all on your own, well, guess what? You're not going to produce or deliver or meet the standards that you're used to because you're just going to rush through everything, right? And so definitely one of the things that you got to do is, sorry, Heather, just jumping in here. Somebody's saying they can't see.
I'm looking on the live too, and we're black. So wonder, we had this same technical issue with StreamYard earlier this week. So we're now a radio show. Like, who knew, right? It's my hair today.
Good morning.
Come on, we got to be able to see me.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, wait a minute. Every time Heather comes on, she's got a different hairstyle. It's awesome. Yeah, I don't know what. I'm just waiting for it to load up on my screen too. But good morning, Gurpreet, and thank you for letting us know that. I will actually. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to stop camera and see if we can fix it that way. I think I'm off camera now, and hold on. Give me 1 second, everybody. We'll be back. All right. Let me know if that works. Gurpreet, let me know if you can see us.
No, I don't see us on the live.
I just saw our picture come up. I know there's 3 people listening. I know there's, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Can you guys still hear us? Just put it in the chat. If you can still hear us and we're coming through clearly. I don't know what's going on with the video, but I'm gonna try this too. Because sometimes what happens, depending on the browser that you're in, doesn't come up properly. So I'm running Safari, so I'm just gonna test it. But people can still hear us, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, they can still hear us. Man, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't, right? So
man, technology, this is one of the things we got to deal. But we're saying yes, we're gonna keep going forward.
We're gonna keep going. Exactly.
I can see us. I'm watching us, and I'm coming through on Chrome. So maybe depending on the browser you're in, just want to copy the link into a new browser, see if that works for you. I see us clearly, and yeah, there's like a 5-10 second delay, but we're coming through. Can't see you, but can hear you. Excellent. We can hear you. Thank you. Actually, if you're listening in, just let us know where you're coming from. Gurpreet, I believe you're local. You're in Toronto, GTA area. But there's somebody else that's saying that they can hear us. Maybe try a different browser, see if that works.
I'm on the mobile and I can't.
We're going to keep going.
Yeah, we got good audio, so.
Really? Yeah, the audio's there. We'll come back. I know the recording. We'll save it. One of the things we talked about is we were going to put all these talks onto a YouTube channel. Actually, there's live streaming to YouTube right now as well. So if you're listening there, excellent. But when you run into technical difficulties, you just got to keep going, right? And those of us who do talks, workshops, presentations, get in front of people, oh, you can see us on Chrome. Thank you, Gurpreet. That's excellent. See, troubleshooting on the spot, not Safari. I don't know what's going on. So maybe this is just
did you used to work in tech support? It sounds like it.
Oh, man, yeah.
I love it. Okay, we'll add that tip.
Right? So, yeah, so if it doesn't work on one browser, try another, and it seems to be working. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Safari. Maybe there's an extension thing that's just not working properly. But thank you for working with us on that, Gurpreet. It's amazing. And I believe there's somebody on Facebook that's also watching as well. So Heather.
Yes.
So this week we talked about energy and how energy influences our yeses. But what else has showed up for you? Like, what's the one thing from a yes perspective? What gets you? And, the one thing that I'm always curious about is what gets people to yes, right? Like, what drives you to say yes? Like, even though you don't want to say yes, what makes you want to say yes to things?
I think, when you visualize, so this week actually, I had an opportunity to work with a company, and at first it was pretty scary. Like, it's outside of my wheelhouse. It's artificial intelligence, and then what I did is I sat with it and I thought, okay, what is it about this that scares me? What about this do I feel not equipped for? And then what are all the attributes of my leadership that actually are needed in this type of environment and the work that they need me to do? And as soon as I flip the switch to what I already have as resources available to me as a leader, and then giving 100% of those skills to the role, then it didn't scare me anymore, because then I was playing to my strengths as opposed to looking at it from the flip side, which is what I don't have. And as leaders, as people that lead people, we have within us all the strengths we need to do the best job that we have possible. But when we don't activate those strengths and we only look at what we don't have, we're going to diminish our ability to say yes and our ability to do it at the highest level. So, when something's scaring you, look at what you already have available to you as your skill set. And if you played all out in that level, would you be the right person? And the answer maybe not yes. It may be no, right? And that's okay too. But you got to assess what you bring to the table from your skill set. So that showed up for me this week, especially when I looked at AI and helping Canada's economy improve, and some of the schools to elevate themselves in the AI. Like, imagine that we have an innovation corridor right here in Toronto. Imagine that we were known for our AI capabilities. That's an amazing vision that I want to help build and grow. And so we'll see what happens if I get the opportunity to work with this group.
It's amazing, and I love the fact that you thought about what are my strengths here? What do I bring to the table? Not what am I lacking? Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to yes,
my first thought was what I'm lacking. So like that was my gremlin. My gremlin came in and said, "Oh, you have no business doing the job like this." And in fact, I do have business, because I don't need to be the expert in AI. Because they're looking for a charismatic leader that's going to create a vision. And that is in my wheelhouse. So what's in your wheelhouse that you're bringing to it? Sorry, John, I cut you off.
Yeah. No, it's okay. And I think even for some of those that are out there listening, if you are in the process of transitioning into a new role, if you're looking at doing something new, you're going into entrepreneurship, really focus on, and the lesson I'm taking away from you today, Heather, is, focus on where you're strong and how you can continue to leverage those strengths. And going back to the beginning of the conversation, what can you give to somebody else? What you're really saying yes to is that bigger vision. You're delivering AI capabilities in the education system to all of Canada. Like, wow, like talk about a vision, right? You don't need to be the person that does all the work, right? You don't need to be the person that designs the brochures. You don't need to be the person that designed the website, to do the social media marketing, like all of that stuff. You can get support and get other people to come in and support you. But it's really saying yes to, this is the vision I want to deliver, and I think when you start off with yes, and this is just only from my own personal experience. The one thing I found is when I continue to say yes to things will open up for me. And even though I don't necessarily know how to do them, and trust me, I've taken on roles I've never had an idea on how. I managed the development and coding team years ago, and it's like, I don't code, I don't develop. I can look at code and it's Greek to me, right? Using that expression.
But you can manage people. You manage people. You inspire. You create division. Yes.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we were able to do some incredible things together because, going back to your point, leveraging the strengths, right? And, what's the one thing I know how to do really well? Well, I know how to work with people. I know how to get people going. I know how to, set the vision and deliver something that we've never done before. And actually this week, working with creatives, like they're creating stuff from people's minds and putting them out there in a set, like in a vision, in a home. And it's just like, how do you do that, right? Like how do you translate a vision into reality? that comes through, saying, you know what, yes, let's do that, and then we'll figure out the figuring out part. And this is what I love, because when you say the yes, you let go of the how.
Mm-hmm.
Or I want to say that again. When you say yes, you let go of the how. You don't think about how am I going to do this, because if you get stuck in that kind of frame, that mindset, it's like, how am I going to do this? And you're like, most likely you're going to say no, because you're going to like work it into bits and pieces that are going to be way, 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 way too complicated for you.
Yeah.
But if you say the yes, the how will kind of show up. I know, and some of you might be listening saying, John, well, come on, for real. Like, you can't just say yes to everything. Well, you can, but there are things that maybe you're not going to say yes to because they don't align with who you are, your vision in terms of what you want to do. But saying yes is really saying yes to opportunity, to growth, to accepting challenges. Exactly it. Accepting challenges. Yeah. Right? They don't. It's a crazy, crazy, crazy thought, right? But
yeah, I think yes, that like that clarity is really important, John, that you just said, which is we're not saying say yes to everything. We're saying when you say yes, you're tricking your brain into believing it's already done, which is amazing because your brain then will figure it out. But when you sit with something, you're like, I don't know how, I don't think I can do it. You're letting something else get in the way, which is your own ego and insecurity. So, we're not saying say yes to everything, but when it's the right decision, when it's time to say yes, just go for it, even though you don't know how.
Yeah. And even going back to Ulrich's question, right? In and around, working with people that may, that you say yes to, that, to situations or things that don't necessarily work out. I think what ends up happening a while, when you say yes enough, you start to really hone in on your intuition. You start to hone in on your gut feel. You start to hone in on really how you feel. Because when you say yes and it feels great, that's when you create a flow and a momentum. But when you say yes, there are moments where we say yes, it's like, I don't know. Like maybe we say yes to a client where we're kind of iffy about it. It's like, if you're iffy, then you know the answer. The answer isn't necessarily yes, right? But it's really honing in that feeling and intuition and experience. The things that we do that don't necessarily succeed for us are the teachers that we like, the lessons that we need to learn to really hone in that skill. Like, I don't know if that kind of resonates with you, Heather, but like, that's what I'm thinking, right?
It totally is. And, when I think about the decisions that have scared me the most, once I made them, I was all in. So, if you say yes, and then you realize in your body, you're not all in, something else is showing up. Maybe you want to please someone else. Maybe you're worried about letting someone down. There's other gremlins at work there. So do some journaling, do some, look at that from why did you say yes to that when it's not in your wheelhouse, or it's not driving you, and you can't feel it in your body, or you feel it like it's holding you back. So
yeah,
and that happens too, right? Because we don't want to let people down.
Well, just as you say yes to taking on something, you can say yes to letting something go. Oh, wow.
There's
that just sat with me for a second. I'm like, man, I just dropped that. It's like, mic drop. Just as you say yes to things, it doesn't mean that you have to, depending on what it is, right? Like if you say yes to, actually I met somebody this week who's like, they said yes to running a marathon and they trained 2 months for it. They did it on their own. They didn't know what they were doing. And they just went out and they said yes to it, right? So they got to the end of it and they're like, yeah, maybe, next time I'm not going to go do that. So, as you're in it too, right, as you're going through it, and just kind of taking from what you're saying, Heather, write it down. Like, how's it landing on you? How's it, if it doesn't, like, if it really doesn't feel right, then maybe you say yes to letting it go, right? There's no need to hold on to something you don't necessarily need to hold on to forever. And, we live in a world of abundance and a world of opportunities and a world of, lots of things to do. There's no lack of things that we can do to go and make impact. So it just really comes down to, are you in the right space, in the right frame of mind? Are you using the right lessons to get yourself to where you want to be so you can really make that impact on others? That's like what I'm thinking. How about you?
I think, as we go into this weekend, if there's something that that you're, sort of on the fence for or not sure of, the best way to get it out of your head is to talk to someone about it. Talk to someone, let them, listen to your pros and cons list, let them ask you questions, and then see if you feel the same about it. And you're not looking for advice. So you're not looking for advice. You're looking for a sounding board and just someone to hear what words and language you're using around that decision. And I guarantee you that after you vocalize it, you'll feel differently. You'll know, you'll have a clearer picture of it. So sometimes it's just getting out of our own head and talking to someone. But again, preface it that you're not looking for advice, you're looking for a sounding board. So find a sounding board this weekend.
Yeah, no, I think that's incredibly important. That's a great point, right? Sometimes, and actually it's true, when I'm in coaching sessions with my coach and I'm just letting things out, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe that doesn't make sense. Or yeah, you know what? That does make sense. I love that. I'll keep running with it. And so yeah, I don't know, sometimes even just voicing the opinion. I forgot, like this week it's Thanksgiving, right? So there's gonna be lots of opinions. I don't know about you, but at my table there's opinions for sure. So
and some good turkey. So I think let's have lots of gratitude this weekend as well. Of course, Thanksgiving is a time of reflection in so many ways. So yes.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, no, let's say yes to, exactly like you said, Heather, just gratitude, expressing gratitude for like just even having the opportunity to be able to sit with family, be with family. If if you have family, friends, whatever, whoever you're connecting with, there's opportunity to just even just, one thing I start every meal with bon appetit, right? Like I cannot start a meal without saying that. And I love it when everybody's together and everybody's like, yeah, bon appetit. Everybody's having we kick off a good dinner, good lunch, whatever that is, right? So, okay, anyways, we are at time. But for those of all of you that are listening in, we had some tech issues. Safari not working so much, but we talked about yes. We talked about the power of yes. We talked about, when you're in situations and you say yes to things that maybe don't serve you, but you take the lesson from it and you do something different, or realizing when you say yes, you're saying yes to the vision, not necessarily to the individual tasks that help deliver the vision. So you can get support, you get people to help you out with all of that. A lot of good stuff in 20 minutes. Like, wow, 20 minutes. Look at what we talked about. So with that, I'm going to leave it with happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving for our friends who are listening, south of the border. Thanksgiving is in November, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Canada this weekend.
Awesome.
Are there any final thoughts?
Hi, everyone. No, but you summarized it perfect. So let's go say yes.
All right. Have a great one, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on next Wednesday. All right. Take care.
Bye.